I don't really get nervous, people, but Arsenal, man, where's the signings? Where's the central midfielder? Where's the winger? Where's the striker? What's going on? Why is this Mikel Merino deal taking forever? Edu, I don't have your phone number, or Mikel Arteta, I don't have yours, or I'd move like a girl that can't get over the relationship and I'll be dinging off your phone a million times because we're playing Wolves in a couple of days. Let me be calm. Let me be steady. Let me just calm down, people. People deluded. On a serious note, I'm back again. Welcome back to another video on DG Sports Views, a side channel away from the main channel where we speak more generally about football. Now, Cole Palmer has signed a new deal. Allegedly, Diaz could be joining Manchester City. Arsenal still ain't signed no one. And actually, just before I began this video, again, one of the worst kept secrets currently in the transfer window, Diaz and Mazzouri have signed for Manchester United, and they're still linked with Agate, and there's still a bit of other isms and schisms in that regards. So if you allow me to share my screen, give me a second. Make sure you're subscribing if you haven't. Smash the like button and all that good stuff. Let's crack on. Now, I must admit, I would love Gyökeres or Osman at Arsenal, but I am tired of speaking about them because it seems like they're the only two strikers. I don't know if we've got the money for Osman. I don't know if we've got the money for Gyökeres. On one hand, it seems more feasible to sign Osman because clearly Napoli and Osman want to move away from, want to have a relationship kind of ending and move away from each other. But Gyökeres, especially if rumours are to be said that Sporting Lisbon are buckling on their asking price, they're not really keen on holding everybody to ransom for his release clause. They're open to negotiations. Surely that means Gyökeres is easier to sign. And then you can caveat that by really and truly saying, Napoli are notoriously known as harder people to negotiate with. Respectfully to Sporting Lisbon, like a lot of Portuguese clubs or European clubs, they source players from all over the world, get them in, develop them, and then sell them to the very British market, typically for double, triple, even in some cases, the price. Arsenal find it difficult to land top targets, Victor Osimhen and Gyökeres, in their search for a new striker, sources have told Football Insider. I mean, whether we've got the finances, whether bringing in a striker is dependent on bringing in a winger, central midfielder, and maybe some outgoings, who knows? But, who really can say anything in that regards? As we know, Smith Rowe's left, Reece Nelson hasn't got a move, Kivior hasn't got a move, Ramsdale's linked with clubs but hasn't got a move, Eddie Nketiah, who seemed like he was on the kind of quote unquote verge of playing, leaving Arsenal and playing again and playing for Marseille, hasn't happened, and especially that's 30 odd million that we've not been able to negotiate. Arsenal to fall short in the races for Osman and Gyökeres. Allegedly, Osman has 76 goals in 133 appearances for Napoli since joining in 2020. Didn't have the great last season versus the year they won it, but we could do with that. Gyökeres had 43 goals in 50 games, people, which is probably abnormal. Even if you got half of that, that would still be great and benefit Arsenal greatly. So let me know your thoughts on Gyökeres and Osman. Again, pardon me, some of you lot would have seen Chelsea's Amaridion offer and bid and negotiations with Atletico Madrid, as well as Conor Gallagher going that way, has hit a bit of a spanner. Romano said Chelsea have never left the race for Victor Osimhen despite reports this month. Interest has always been there, remains there, but Osman's still only open to leaving on a permanent transfer and not reducing his salary. He technically got more money at Napoli, respectfully to Arsenal and Chelsea. Realistically, if Osman is going to move to the Premier League with everything that they have to offer, why would you want to take a salary reduction? The big thing is the riches in the Premier League, which is a direct contrast. The Premier League is up there. All the other top European leagues are kind of trailing. So we'll have to see how that goes, man. I thought Chelsea be the front runners. There could be luck on the Eddie Nketiah front because apparently he's wanted by Bournemouth. Now, Solanke's general play is better than Eddie Nketiah's, in my opinion. And also he got, 18, 19, 20 league goals last year. Eddie Nketiah hasn't been given a platform to display he could do that, but it's a big ask for whatever Bournemouth are doing. And we all look at December last year and the contrast for Bournemouth, credit to their new manager, their players, but goals win games. And how much of that was down to Solanke? I mean, for him, you'd play under Areola, who is Spanish and from the same kind of school of thought as Mikel Arteta. You play Premier League football and you'd get game time. So I hope that can happen. Eddie Nketiah, for me, Marseille's been the only club that it looks like you've been a couple of details away from signing for, but he has been linked with a bunch of Premier League clubs forever at Arsenal. Whether that correlates to bids, who knows? But apparently he's on the list to replace Solanke. They were linked with Ivan Nilsson of Porto. Apparently a bid's been rejected. Big up Marseille, because Wahi's a better player, and they more or less got Wahi, for the similar price, really and truly. I mean, I don't know how or why that move went wrong, but it is what it is. Apparently, he's on the list for Bournemouth, provided they're not able to get Ivan Nilsson. So he's not their first choice. So we have to hope the pursuit of the Porto man doesn't work. I covered this on my main channel, but apparently Arsenal have rejected a bid from Ajax for Aaron Ramsdale, which was a loan. Apparently, Ajax are still optimistic a deal can be done. Again, check out my transfer news show on Deluded Guna, the main platform, if you don't know. Keeping up the theme with Arsenal, apparently we're unwilling to match Sociedad's 35 million euros asking price for Merino, which is jarring. He's got a year left. I understand it because Real Sociedad are trying to play a serious game here. They're linked with Carlos Soler. Obviously, I don't blame them considering the Euros he's had. He's got a year left on his deal. They know the Premier League clubs got money. Try and get what you want. Likewise, I don't blame Arsenal because he's got a year left on his deal. Don't get held to ransom. I don't think he's a level raiser, but I think he raises the floor in. And at this point, we just need midfielders, really, because we can't bet on Partey, more so Partey than Jorginho. But Partey and Jorginho and Rice is the only one you can imagine is going to be fit for at least 30, 35, potentially of the 38 games. God forbid if Declan Rice suffers a suspension or is injured, we're in issues. And it draws me back to the North London derby, actually, at the Emirates, people. If you remember, there's a correlation between that kind of being an end-to-end game, Jorginho coming on, no disrespect to Jorginho, but that's not his skill set. Rice coming off. Obviously, Jorginho made a mistake, but we're in problems there. So we'll have to see. Szczesny apparently has terminated his contract at Juventus. Could he be offered one at Arsenal, people? And I only say that because we need a second and third choice keeper. Now, I don't know if Szczesny will be brought in. He's probably going to want big wages despite his age, but he was a gooner. And apparently with the Ramsdale stuff, us not reaching a conclusion, you would imagine that you're not going to bring in a somewhat household name if Ramsdale doesn't leave. So we'll have to see. But it is food for thought. You have heard some reports of Luis Diaz leaving Liverpool and signing for Manchester City, who are apparently willing to pay 70 million euros to sign him and have already agreed terms on a 5-year deal. He's always linked with Barcelona, so that's a new club. From Romano has said City sources have denied any agreement with Diaz after recent reports. Now, two different players, but they let in, the common denominator would be they're both attackers. They've let Alvarez leave. Pep Guardiola said that they'd potentially still be in the market. And I know, City more or less have a complete team, but it is what it is in that regard. Destiny Doué's arrival at PSG has ended their pursuit of Ryan Cherki of Lyon. Now, I think he would be a wild card for Arsenal and he could help in wide areas. So he'd be someone I'd look to go for. Manchester United have confirmed the signing of De Ligt for 45 million euros plus 5 million add-ons. I know I tried not to be biased, but I hope he flops. Naturally, he's going to Man United, just like with the other top 6 clubs that are not Arsenal, people. And you would have seen last night, him and Mazraoui were actually spotted eating at Sexy Fish. It's all right, that's expensive, in Manchester, sorry. So it is what it is. And there's also been, they were pictured in training. Apparently Mendes is in England to discuss João Felix with Chelsea and Ugarte with Man United. So for both clubs, there could be some movement in that regards. Keeping up the theme with AC Milan and also Manchester United, apparently they're still battling it out to sign Youssouf Fofana, who, again, like Merino going back, has a year left on his deal. Scott McTominay is subject to interest from Napoli, Fulham, Everton, Brentford, Galatasaray, and Fenerbahce. I must admit, I think they should hold on to McTominay as part of the squad, but I understand letting him go, really, if I'm completely honest. And to be fair, there's some very good offers. A big club in Napoli, Fulham, it's London and Premier League, Everton the same, Brentford the same. Then you've got Galatasaray and Fenerbahce. I must admit, if I was him, the Napoli one would probably be the one that appeals to me the most, people. Apparently Luke Shaw will miss the opening games, I'm not sure what that means, of the Premier League season due to a calf injury sustained at the start of pre-season training. Apparently he's working in terms of rehab. Who's going to play left back for Man United? It'll probably be Mazraoui, in it, because they've or Delort, because they're down to their bare bones, people. Where you look at Wilfred Zaha, apparently he is still drawing interest from Leicester, Crystal Palace and Wolves, people. We'll have to see how that develops. Reguilon apparently is desperate to move on a permanent basis from Spurs. Apparently he's got 1 year left on his deal. He's been linked with actually Manchester United again, as well as AC Milan and Barcelona. There's been a U-turn where Manchester United are concerned for Casemiro. He's now set to stay because they've struggled to find a buyer. I'm pretty sure hindsight's a wonderful thing, but Real Madrid probably cannot believe their luck of the fee they got and how he's playing. Crystal Palace are obviously braced to try and keep hold of Mark Guehi from Newcastle's clutches. Apparently, Steve Parish, their chairman, has more or less said nobody has met the valuation and described him as a superstar and he wants superstar money. So what would be the fee? For me, you're probably looking in the 60 odd million region. Ben Chilwell is now assessing his options with Chelsea, unlikely to stand in his way if they receive a suitable offer. Man United are one club to have shown interest, so you can see the correlation with the inconsistencies in Manchester United's available left-back options. Mazraoui can play there, Lisandro Martinez can play there, Delot could play there. I'm not sure if they're a long-term solution, so it makes sense to be linked and maybe try to buy a homegrown player. Conor Gallagher is on his way back to the UK after the failed move to Atletico Madrid, while he is signed for Marseille, which obviously correlates with Eddie not going over there. Juventus people are working to sign 2 wingers. Karim Adeyemi's deal has fallen through. They're continuing negotiations with Nico Gonzalez with Fiorentina, and apparently they've asked for the conditions of Marcus Edwards from Sporting Lisbon, which would be a good move for him. El Hilal have denied reports of Nketiah, of N'Golo Kante, apologies people, potentially departing. He's been linked with both West Ham and Atletico Madrid in recent hours. Man City are willing to let Calvin Phillips leave on loan. Fulham, Ipswich and Everton are all interested. And again, Pep Guardiola said he's got his confidence back. He was one of the worst signings, I feel, of the Premier League last season. Well, he's been one of City's worst signings, and he's one of the worst January signings. He was crap for for West Ham. So hopefully he does all right. Laporte's move apparently could still be possible to Real Madrid. He'd have to arrive on a free transfer, and he'd have to lower his salary. He's probably getting crazy money in Saudi, isn't he, people? Everton are exploring a deal to sign Victor Rohr and have made an offer. He needs to really sort out his situation. I feel sorry for him because him and Endrick were seen as a potential battle in future generations. Endrick's basically just got out of Madrid, but this guy can't buy a game. It is quite harsh, if I'm honest. RB Leipzig are apparently people set to sign Antonio Nusa, who's was linked with Chelsea, almost signed for Spurs and Brentford. I'm keen to see his development, especially at a club like Leipzig. Apparently, Wan-Bissaka is signed for West Ham United from Manchester United for 15 million euros. He's 26 and apparently he's got a 7-year deal. I mean, he's played a blinder there, but what is it with these long-term deals, people? Kingsley Coleman is still drawing interest from Manchester City and Barcelona, as you know, Bayern Munich want to get rid in some regards. Obviously, he has been linked with PSG as well, people, as well as Arsenal Football Club. Brighton apparently are not optimistic about signing Hummels. Mendes, again, is still in concrete talks to sort out the future of João Felix, who's open to returning to Chelsea. Red Bull Salzburg have submitted an offer for Liverpool youngster Bobby Clark, which stands at about 9.6 million euros. Fair enough, really and truly, and he'd link up with his old assistant gaffer. Lautaro Martinez has signed a new 5-year deal at Inter Milan, the one-time Arsenal target. Speaking of contract extensions, technically Cole Palmer has signed a 2-year extension at Chelsea until 2033 after his great season where he 25 goals and 15 assists and 45 appearances across all comps. He deserves it, really. And I don't know if he's going to be one of Chelsea's highest earners, but if performance and wages, if life was fair and what you're bringing to the table and the wages you get was that, he deserves to be it, you know. Just by looking at Chelsea's wage structure, you could imagine there's probably about 10 players that probably earned more than him prior. I'm not sure now, that didn't deserve that. Like Sterling's probably on more than him. So shout out to Cole Palmer for that. He's a quality player. You can't hate on the guy. Fulham allegedly have submitted an improved offer for Crystal Palace's Joachim Anderson, people. And that appears to be it, people. So let me know your thoughts on everything that we discussed. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment and subscribe. Most importantly, stay safe, stay blessed. Subscribe as well to the main channel. On that though, peace.